Hello, you guys, and welcome to the Innergrowth podcast. I'm your host, Carolina, and I hope that you are doing amazing. Whether this is your first time listening or you are a returning listener, welcome. And I am super hyped about today's episode because we're going to be talking about a topic that I am extremely passionate about, that I talk a lot about already on my social media, on my platforms, and it's something that really fuels me. It's something that brings me so much passion, and it's also a topic that I really believe we need to continuously address and talk about and share tools around so that as a society we can grow. And that is the topic of how can we cultivate a better relationship with food? How can we develop food freedom? How can we improve the relationship that we have with that so that we can actually fuel ourselves and actually love our bodies and have a better relationship with ourselves as a result and grow as a result, which is the whole point of in the Inner Growth podcast. So today we're going to be diving into my top 7 tips on how to improve your relationship with food. And again, our society feeds us, pun intended, so much information that is not helpful when it comes to food, that is not empowering, right? That causes us to fight ourselves and be at war with our bodies and be in this shameful or negative or disempowering relationship with something that we interact with every single day of our lives. And so today, I hope that this episode just leaves you with something tangible to implement into your life and some different shifts that you can tap into when it comes to your mindset so that you can feel more free, feel more happy, and ultimately glow from the inside out. So, with all of that said, let's dive into today's episode. I'll see you guys on the other side and let's get growing. All right, let's dive into today's episode. And the first thing I will say, and I mean, this is not a surprise to anyone who already follows me or has been following me for the last bit of time, but as most of you guys probably know, I have had a difficult relationship with food in the past, and it has been something that has played a huge role in my inner growth journey. It's creating a better relationship with it and finding food freedom and intuitive eating and self-love and just body acceptance and all of the things. And in the process of doing that, it has become my mission. It has become my passion to help other people on their journeys because I know how difficult it can be. And so I just hope today's episode leaves you with some empowering tips and advice so that you can navigate your own inner growth journey, grow from the inside out, and just cultivate a better relationship with food. So, diving into tip number 1, food is fuel. Food is something that gives you energy and it should be seen as that. And because of this approach of seeing food as fuel, I am someone who chooses to eat regular meals. I eat throughout the day, 3 times a day or more, and I choose to make my plates balanced with carbs and protein and healthy fats and fiber and all of these things because I want to have energy. I want to live my best life. I want to be able to show up for the things that I'm passionate about and that I love doing as my best self. And to do that, I need to have energy, and so do you. And so the reason I choose to eat regularly and eat balanced is because of this, is because I know that food is my fuel. And I think once you start seeing food in that way, it can really empower you to make better choices when it comes to your nutrition as well, because you know that you're giving yourself what your body needs. And ultimately, your body does so much for you every single day. It takes you through life, it allows you to live a human experience, it allows you to breathe and think and see and experience so many beautiful things and move. And it's so important for you to give back to it and to be on its side also because your body's always fighting for you. And your body is truly a magical thing. Like to be a human and to have a human body, it's truly magical. Like the amount of things our bodies do that we don't realize it's doing, it's actually mind blowing. And so fuel yourself genuinely, like choose to nourish yourself. And the best way to do that is to really remind yourself that food is your fuel. And that's the first thing I wanted to start off this episode by reminding you of in case you forgot. Tip number 2 is remove morality from food. So many people label food as good or bad. That's so bad. That's so unhealthy. Oh, I was so bad yesterday. I was so bad today. Oh, like I shouldn't eat that. That's so bad. No, there is no morality around food. Food is food. And when you remove these labels around food, you can help yourself prevent food guilt. You can help yourself prevent feeling shame and guilt after you eat certain things because at the end of the day, there's no labeling there. And in the past, when I used to label food as good or bad, what would happen was that I would feel like a bad person when I would eat something that I considered bad. I would internalize that label as my character, as who I am. If I do that, I am that. And that's why removing labels from food is something I go back to over and over. Like this is something that comes up at least once a week in my Q&As that I do on Instagram. It's like, how do you navigate food guilt? How do I stop feeling so bad after I eat certain things? Or how do I navigate my food fears? And the way out is through essentially removing these labels. And this was like one of the first things that I started to do in my healing journey when it came to therapy and inner work that I did around my relationship with food. And it's something that you have to come back to regularly. And when you begin this process of removing labels from food, you will start to notice which foods you tend to say are bad foods. And by becoming aware of that, then you can then start stopping yourself from using these labels and you can start being more neutral around what food is and just realize that there is no morality. Like you are not a bad or a good person based on what you choose to eat. At the end of the day, food is food. And if you want to stop feeling guilty and you want to stop feeling like you're in your head all the time after you ate something and you're guilting yourself and shaming yourself and feeling bad about it, remove the labels. Trust me, it will serve you. It will help you so, so much more than you think. Okay, tip number 3 is create an abundance mindset around food. This is such a huge one, you guys. And this is something that I touch on with pretty much every single one of my one on one coaching clients. So many people struggle with a scarcity mindset around food, and some ways to tap into an abundance mindset is to remind yourself when you are eating something, once you reach fullness, it's okay to stop. Like, it's okay to listen to your body because you can always take that food that's left over home. Or if you want to, you can always have more food later, right? And that just comes from the mindset of realizing there is more food available later, whether that's the leftovers you take home or the food that's at your house or the food that you can eat in a different restaurant. Like there is more food available for you later. Like there is an abundance of food and it's okay for you to stop when you're full. And in doing that, you build a relationship of respect when it comes to how you relate to your body and how you feel in your body because you're honoring your fullness cues. And essentially, what I'm trying to say here is that the way to create this self respect and to create this ability to listen to your fullness is to develop this abundance mindset. And just to remind yourself that, like, this is not the last time that you're going to eat a yummy meal. Like, there is an abundance of yummy food available for you, and you can always eat a delicious meal again later today, tomorrow, and the day after. And through this mindset, you will start to find that you'll be way more intuitive and way more attuned into your fullness and into your physical body. Okay, number 4 is make healthy eating fun and delicious. So many people out there associate healthy eating with something gross or something that is just like not fun or, all of these different things. And I really think it's because so many people in the past have like done diets or like tried to follow some type of meal plan they found on the internet that made healthy eating not the best, like not yummy, and they think, okay, healthy, they think romaine lettuce and plain chicken with no seasoning or like white rice with no salt and like some steamed broccoli or like plain oatmeal. It's like that's not what healthy eating is. Like healthy eating to me personally is just leaning on whole foods. It's trying your best to avoid processed foods and things with a ton of additives and things with a ton of processed seed oils and eating foods that come from the earth, whether that's fruits, whether that's grains, whether that's veggies, high quality proteins that are not packed with hormones, all of these things. Like that's healthy, and healthy eating can be fun. It can be delicious and it can be easy. And that's also why I love sharing recipes on my Instagram and my YouTube and my TikTok, is because I love to show to people that it can be easy to make these healthy foods at home and to have fun with the process and to actually make it so freaking tasty that you then look forward to it. Because when you cook things and you make them taste good and they're benefiting your health, it's so much easier for that habit to stick and for you to just start doing that more regularly and for it to become a part of who you are and how you show up in life. So that is such a huge one. That is one of the most important tips, I think, because again, as I said, a lot of people don't see healthy eating that way. And I think this mindset shift can also really help you create a better relationship with food, because you're going to be making loving decisions and nutritious decisions because you're also enjoying them. And therefore, it's way easier for it to become a consistent part of your life. Okay, tip number 5 is huge. And I think it's one of my favorite ones and one of the most important things I will say in this entire episode, because I know that even though I'm far along in my journey and I don't struggle with this anymore, there are so many people out there that do, and it's okay if you do. But this tip, I would say, if you still struggle with this should be the number one thing that you focus on to change, and therefore to grow from. And that is to stop seeing food as a number. Stop seeing food as a number. I'm saying it again so that it sticks in your brain. So many people think of food and they think calories. They think, how many calories is this? They check the labels immediately and they see the calorie count on like some restaurants when they show it or on the menu, or they literally like look everything up to count the calories. Or like sometimes I'll post a recipe and people are like, can you list out the macros? Like, can you list out the calories? I'm like, I don't track that. Like, I don't see food as a number. I don't think of it that way. It's just so much more freeing to live life that way. It really, really, really is. And the best way to do this is to throw out those food scales. Throw out the actual scale. Like, stop weighing yourself all of the time. Maybe let go of those watches, those fitness watches that are constantly telling you how many calories you burned in a workout or throughout the day, all of that. And also, please do yourself a favor and delete the calorie tracking apps. Please delete those apps, because it's so easy for all of this to accumulate and for your journey with food to become a journey about control. And the more you become obsessed with control when it comes to food, the less intuitive you will be, the less you'll be able to intuitively eat, the less you'll be able to tune into what your body actually needs. Maybe the less you'll be able to tune into your fullness cues, because you'll be trying to hit a certain number or a certain calorie count or hit a certain amount of macros or whatever. So, this is like my top number one tip in this episode. Please, 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 out of love for yourself, stop seeing food as a number. You don't have to earn your food. You don't have to burn your food. You deserve to nourish your body no matter how much or how little you moved your body today or yesterday. And food is not a number. It simply is not just that. And like, life is not just about numbers. So throw out the food scale, delete the tracking apps, stop weighing yourself, stop obsessively keeping track of numbers, and that will help you in your relationship with your food by leaps and bounds. I promise you. I promise you, this is going to change so much for you, because you will start to then be able to apply all these other things that I was saying, right? Seeing food as fuel, creating an abundance mindset around it, being able to listen to your fullness cues, being more intuitive, all of that will become more natural to you when you stop making this journey a journey about control and a journey about numbers. All right. Tip number 5. That one slayed. That was so good. Okay, tip number 6 is release restriction from your life. This also comes up in so many of my coaching sessions, and it's something that I am just so passionate talking about and spreading this knowledge out there. And essentially, what it boils down to is when you tell yourself that there are foods that are off limit foods, there are forbidden foods, there are things that are cheat meals or completely off limits for you, when you tell yourself that there are these things that you cannot eat, what happens? The moment that you break that rule and you go and you eat that food, you're very, very much more likely to overeat that food. Why? Because you don't know the next time you're going to allow yourself to break this rule. You don't know the next time you're going to be able to have it. And therefore, you're like, I just need to eat it all now, because when is the next time I'm going to be able to do this? Like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity or whatever. And this is why I don't believe in cheat days, because a lot of the times what happens is on those cheat days, you probably overeat or overindulge and just eat things that don't make you feel your best, maybe. And then on the next day, you feel shame and guilt and overly full and kind of heavy. And it's not a positive thing, right? It's not going to cultivate a healthy and positive and loving and good relationship with your body and with food, which is the goal of this episode. So, again, I really highly, highly, highly encourage you to challenge your fear foods. Like, if you have fear foods in your life, like, really challenge them. But also, if you have foods that, again, you consider bad and you label as bad and therefore you don't eat them, or you tell yourself they're really like bad for you and that you're not allowed to have them frequently, stop seeing those foods in that way. And then when you go and you eat that food that maybe before you used to consider an off limit food, you're going to be way less likely to overeat it and then feel overly full and then feel shameful and guilty and feel these negative emotions that you don't want to feel, right? And I'll just give an example from my personal life. I used to feel this way about dessert and specifically about chocolate. And the moment that I told myself, you know what, I can eat chocolate any day if I want, I then started to become way more attuned with, am I already full from dinner? Like, do I actually want a piece of chocolate right now? And then on the days that I'm like, yeah, I would love a piece of chocolate right now, I go and I eat the chocolate. Like, it's simple as that. It's beautiful like that. And honestly, it's so much more freeing. And it's like, it's way better for you to eat a little bit of something, every single day than to go and like overeat it and then feel like so full and heavy and navigate all this like internal negative chatter that comes up after that. That's so much worse. And it's really beautiful to cultivate this freedom and this ability to listen to your body and also to honor the fact that like you are allowed to have a little bit of chocolate, to have a little bit of dessert. Like, you're totally allowed to do those things. And it's just so nice to be able to do that and to give yourself that freedom. And again, this comes down to removing restriction from your life and stop this pattern of telling yourself that there are off limit foods or forbidden foods or things that I should not have that. That's not allowed. No, no, there's no restrictions, there's no rules, unless you actually have like dietary like allergies or serious like intolerances. I would say like try the best that you can to remove this idea so that you don't fall to that 0 or 100 and then the overeating when you do break that rule. This one comes up a lot in coaching, as I said. And so I hope this one landed with you and made sense to you. Okay. And then number 7, the last tip for today's episode is to try as much as you can to understand that ultimately, at the end of the day, food is also nourishment. And some foods are going to be sources of nutrients more so than others, right? Like, that is a fact. Like, there are some foods that are going to give you more protein or more vitamins or more minerals or more healthy fats than others. And there's going to be other foods that are more processed and quote unquote not so healthy per se. Some foods are going to be bigger sources of nutrients, but other foods are going to be bigger sources of joy for you. And some foods also are going to be sources of nutrients and of joy, especially if you start tapping into tip number 4 that I shared, where food can be healthy and fun and delicious. That means that food can also be nourishment for your soul and your body at the same time. It can be a source of nutrients and of joy at the same time. But there are also going to be other foods out there that are mainly going to be for your nutrients and other foods that are going to be mainly for your joy. And that's okay. The key to balance is having both, right? The key to balance is not being 0 or 100 in the restricting and the overeating, in the that's completely off limits. That's not balance. Balance is being able to do a little bit of both and being at peace with it and cultivating that sense of inner harmony and inner peace in doing a little bit of both and giving yourself permission to do a little bit of both. And that is the key to balance. And I think that has been also a really game changing concept for me in my relationship with food, is just giving myself the ability to understand that maybe a certain food choice that I made in that moment was mainly because of joy and connection with other people or trying something new or just happiness, like going out to eat, let's say, like an amazing like pistachio gelato. Like, is that going to give me like the most nutrients or like as much nutrients as like a carrot? Obviously not, but it still has value. It still gives me something else that is valuable and is important and is really nice to have. And so That's balance. It's incorporating both. And it's really funny because if you're someone who identifies with caring for your health, I think a lot of the times other people around start to create this perception of you that you eat a certain way and you live your life a certain way. And that kind of causes you to feel like you have to behave in certain ways. And I'll just explain what I mean. Like, as a health coach and as a creator that like shares tips on healthy eating and healthy living, sometimes I'll like go to Brazil and I'll go and I'll like have a piece of cake and I'll have the dessert and people are like, gotta go to the gym tomorrow. I'm like, no, no, balance. This is what I preach. This is what my content's about. It's a leaving room for both and being at peace with it and being genuinely at ease with eating those foods, whatever it is. That is it for today's episode. That's what I wanted to share. Let's quickly recap the 7 tips to leave you with them fresh in your head, fresh in your brain. Number 1, food is fuel. Choose to nourish yourself regularly. Choose to eat those balanced meals and don't avoid eating because food is going to give you energy to live your best life and to be the most energized you can be. Number 2, remove morality from food. There is no good or bad. Food is food. Number 3, create an abundance mindset around food. Listen to your fullness cues, and you can always eat more later. There's always going to be more food available later, and therefore you don't have to eat past your fullness or overeat. Number 4, healthy eating can be fun and delicious at the same time. Number 5, please, for the love, stop seeing food as a number. Throw out the scales, throw out the calorie tracking apps, and watch how that changes your life. Number 6, remove restriction from your life so that you can be more intuitive, so that you can actually listen to what your body needs and realize that the less restriction you have and the less rules that you have, the more in tune you're going to be able to be, the more at peace you're going to feel, and the less you're going to be inclined to overeat something. And therefore, the less you're going to feel food guilt and shame and these uncomfortable emotions that none of us enjoy. And then last but not least, number 7, food can be a source of joy and it can also be a source of nutrients. Some food are going to be both. Some food are going to be more one than the other. And the key to balance is leaving room for both. And if you implement any of these tips in your life, you are truly going to cultivate a much better relationship with food. You're going to be able to find more food freedom. You're going to be able to eat more intuitively. And ultimately, you're going to become more confident. You're going to become more free and more magnetic in the process too. So I'm rooting for you. And trust me, if I've been able to heal my relationship with food, and if the clients I work with have been able to heal their relationship with food, also, so can you. And it starts with one step at a time. You don't have to implement all these 7 tips at once. You don't have to implement them perfectly right away. It's a work in progress. Healing is always a journey, and we're always growing. And you're not supposed to flip a switch and snap your fingers and tomorrow be in a perfect relationship with food. That's not how it works. You've lived your life up until this point and you've created certain beliefs around food based on your experiences, the things people around you have said, the environments you've been in, the people you've surrounded yourself with, and what they have said to you. All of that has become a part of your subconscious mind. And to rewrite the story, to flip the script, it's going to take practice and it's going to take action and it's going to take the reinforcement of these new beliefs with action. You can't just think these new thoughts. Like, for example, like food is not a number. You have to actually then go and delete the apps. You have to actually go and stop weighing yourself. Like, you have to reinforce the belief with action for it to become a part of you, for it to become a part of your new story, your new relationship with your body and with food. So I'm rooting for you. I believe in you. If you are looking for support on your journey, I do offer one-on-one coaching. The information for that is always in the description of my episodes. It's also on my website, innergrowthcollective.com. And if you're interested, you can find more information there. And also, if you enjoyed this episode, it would truly mean the world to me if you hit the like button on YouTube and if you hit subscribe also. Also, if you are listening on Spotify and Apple and you've been a long-term listener, it would mean the world to me if you went and supported the YouTube channel and just hit subscribe, really. Or if you went to the video and left a comment and shared your thoughts with me, that would be so cool. That's the best way for us to create discussion around the episodes and share what we think about this topic. And again, empower ourselves and grow together because this is something that has become enmeshed into our society and way of thinking for so many years. And for us to truly reinvent the wheel and change the way we approach food, it's about us empowering each other too in the process, you know? So just know that you're not alone and I got you. And hopefully I can continue to share valuable episodes that empower you in your inner growth journey, in your relationship with yourself, and in this connection that you build with your body. So, yeah, I love you all so much. I hope you remember to water yourself and do one little thing today to care for you. We live such busy lives, and so doing that can really go a long way. And so I hope you do that before we chat next week. And I am sending you all a really big virtual hug, and I'll see you so soon. Mwah. Bye.